What is up? This is the Leafs Convo podcast sponsored by Oakridge Ford.
Nathan Jenner from Oakridge Ford. The 2020 models are rolling in, including the all-new redesigned Escape and Explorer. For a limited time, save big with Black Friday specials on all remaining in-stock 2019s. Like a 2019 Ford Edge SEL all-wheel drive, starting at $433 per month plus HST for a 5-year lease with $0 down. Oakridge Ford, where a reputation gets you here and the trust keeps you coming back. For full details, visit oakridgeford.com.
I'm Norm James, coming to you from London, Ontario, joined as always by my podcast partner in crime, the one, the only Michael Piagello in Buffalo, New York. Michael, good morning. The Leafs a 3-2 shootout loser to the Fly Guy at Scotiabank Arena. They got another point. Mitch Marner's hurt. William Nylander was the offensive star. A big coagulation of all kinds of stuff.
Good morning, Norm. First with the result of the game, another incomplete effort by the Leafs where they dig themselves a 2-0 hole. Yep. They come back, get a point, very valuable. Have to give Freddie Anderson a lot of credit for at least getting that. They had some opportunities in overtime and then in the shootout, as the exact opposite of what happened 1 week ago on Saturday, where the Leafs won in 11 rounds. They didn't get out of the first 3 rounds as Couturier beat Anderson, but a well-earned point. But that was sort of the result of the game was sort of secondary to the Marner situation, and this could have an effect depending on the seriousness of the injury. And now I have to say, him coming back a couple times, trying to get back on the ice, being on the bench, you seeing him wince in pain, and seeing the video. I took a snap off of one of the videos of when his leg was sort of torqued after he stepped on the stick. I think it was Terwinski at the beginning of the second period. I'm no doctor, but they said it was an ankle. I would assume based on that it's a high ankle sprain. And if it's a high ankle sprain, as we've known from watching hockey and reporting on it for a number of years, sometimes high ankle sprains are worse than broken bones. I'll wait for the Leaf medical staff to give some sort of a length and time of the injury. But if it's a high ankle sprain, as I suspect, it's probably going to be weeks. And if it's weeks, then he probably will end up going on long-term injury.
Oh, man.
Money-wise, in terms of managing things, that will prevent some of the exodus of a couple players when Zach Hyman comes back next week. But putting the cart before the horse here, it's like we have to first find out how serious the injury is. It could be something less serious. He's back in a week or two, but it sounds like he's going to be out for a little while.
Do you think he was in denial in those moments, trying to get back onto the ice?
Well, he like I said, he tried a couple times. He went out on the power play and he stumbled. He went back to the locker room, came back and was skating around during a TV timeout. You saw that the medical staff was basically whispering in his ear, saying, "We don't want this to be like, we don't want you to go out there and injure this even worse. So let's go to the locker room." And then soon after, the Leafs PR said he's done for the game. So yikes. I think it was preventative, better safe than sorry. If it is, just a sprained ankle, then it could be a couple weeks. If it's something much more serious, like a high ankle sprain, then it could be 4, 5, 6 weeks. But let's wait until we hear from the Leafs medical staff to see what that diagnosis is.
Yeah, if he's gone for a long period, it gives the Leafs a reprieve from having to make serious financial decisions. But which would you rather? The Leafs confronting their salary cap issues and dealing with them and having a healthy Marner, or being able to make ends meet for the time being, both financially and personnel-wise, and not have one of the most dynamic players in the game running full peak on your team?
Yeah, it just seems like, because we've been waiting for the full Leafs team to be present to play, and we were basically waiting for Zach Hyman to come back. It was possible it was going to happen on Saturday, probably going to happen in the next week. But now, if Marner is out, as soon as you get everybody back, somebody else is out, and that's the way hockey works. I don't think Mike Babcock was sort of blasé about it, but he's like, that's hockey. People get hurt, unfortunately. So they're gonna, if he is out for weeks, as Babcock intimated in his post-game comments. He said it could be days, could be weeks, but if it's weeks, then once Hyman is activated, then I don't believe they'll have to, if they put him on long-term injury, they will not have to send one of Timashov or Spezza or down to the minors. So, we'll see what happens.
When they forecast problems and how they'll address them, they don't pencil in Mitch Marner being gone for a month and to save Timashov's job or Spezza's career. Sure. The forecast is set out, okay, any of these guys at the bottom, any of these guys who are role players, anyone we'd consider to be a temporary fix, those are the guys who get called or cut out or dropped off the roster. So in this case, not having Mitch Marner is going to be a minus for the team when it comes to its performance going forward. But it does give the Maple Leafs a bit of time to figure out, a little more time to figure out what they need to do to get the salary cap situation settled down. But they also knew that this was going to be the case when you're paying so few players so many dollars. And again, Mike, with Mitch Marner, say he's not with the team through the rest of this month and into December, and who knows where this goes. It might not even get to that, and that would be great because we're all Marner fans. We love the way he plays hockey. This would be a good opportunity for the Maple Leafs to show what they can do without essentially their top offensive star over the past several years.
Well, it's going to be a challenge because if you look at the schedule after last night's game, 13 of the next 16 games between now and December 14th are on the road. So it's going to be challenging. They're going to have to play a bit of a different style of game if Marner is out long term. If he's not, then they might be still able to play sort of their what I consider sometimes irresponsible freewheeling style. I know that during this homestand they've limited goals, Vegas to 1 goal, LA to 1 goal, but I think it was mostly Freddie Anderson. If you look at his statistics in November, his save percentage was up over .950. His goals against was under 2. This is November Freddie. I don't think they're playing a lot better defensively than they did in the opening month. And you can only rely on your goaltending so much before, you could take advantage of that. But in the end, you have to play better defensively. And tonight, I think will be a challenge. Now, luckily, they're playing Chicago, and Chicago played Pittsburgh last night. So both teams are in the second of back-to-back. It'll be Robin Lehner versus Michael Hutchinson. So, the Leafs are going to have to play good in front of Hutchinson for him to get his first victory of the season.
Both Chicago and the Leafs losing in shootouts on Saturday. Sunday's game should be interesting. William Nylander with a goal, an assist, and a shootout goal. This is what you want to see from guys like Nylander when teammates are down and out. Nylander, number 88, coming through in the clutch offensively. It was nice to see. Right place, right time. Nice little feed off the wall to Travis Dermott, who's on the board. And that's great, too.
I have to say, because last night I said it, and I got a bit of a confusing response from some fans who basically saying to the effect, can't you give the guy any credit? And I'm like, I said, Nylander was probably the best skater for the Leafs yesterday. He had a goal, he had an assist, he was around the net, he played great. And those type of games are what infuriates a lot of Leaf fans about Nylander in the sense that, where is that more? It's like you see that, and I compared him. I was talking to somebody. I said I compared him sort of to Alexei Kovalev. Alexei Kovalev is an immensely talented player, and about 15 games a year, he was the best player on the ice. He was unstoppable. I'm not saying Nylander was that yesterday, but he was really good. They need that performance out of him more than 10 to 15 games a year. They need it. Not 82, that's unreasonable, but they need it more than half of the year. And I don't think sometimes, like again against Vegas on Thursday, he took a lazy penalty against Riley Smith. He was drifting around in the defensive zone, and on Saturday he was a difference maker. he's got the ability. He has immense skill. He has immense talent. You need to see that. I'm not anti-William Nylander. I just want to see more of the top end of that guy because he's a really talented player.
Fans who are just more focused on him than they are on the team, right? For me, I'm just pro Maple Leafs, and he did a great job on Saturday. I'd like to see him continue it on the road Sunday against Chicago. The Leafs need all hands on deck right now to cobble together victories because they're just so talented. The cohesion and the structure is not there, but you can make up for it with the talent that you have. And even if this team doesn't start playing right and is not fully healthy until somewhere in the new year, it can still be in the mix for something special because it has a lot of talent that other teams don't have that can compensate for its shortcomings on any given night. Good on number 88. Let's see some more of it. Eli Cohen on Twitter, can you address the reason Barry Trotz was able to transform the Islanders from the worst defensive team to the best defensive team with the same players? You know where this is going. It has to do with Mike Babcock.
Yeah, but Barry Trotz came into that situation with the exodus of John Tavares and had a team that essentially bought into him and his strategy of everybody playing defense, suffocating defensively. And they bought into that, with Tavares leaving, and it was sort of a 5-man team defense, which is what he's done everywhere he's gone in Washington and in Nashville. And they bought in and they had a great year. But the problem with the Islanders, and I know they've won like 11 of their last 12, is they're limited offensively. If they had the offensive weapons that the Leafs had, I know that Trotz early on with the Capitals wasn't successful because he had Backstrom and Ovechkin trying to play that wide open offensive game. And only when they bought in did they become a legitimate Stanley Cup contender and win. So, the Leafs have so much offensive talent, and it's tough to get those players to buy into playing a suffocating two-way game. But I think that type of game, which is what Boston plays, which is what St. Louis played last year, is the key to winning. And only when the Leafs players buy in to that will they win.
Is there something to be said about a team that continually goes to extra time to get results? Mike, JP wants to know why so many games are going to OT. And JP reached out to us on the community platform at youtube.com/the Leafs Convo.
Right now, most games, not just involving the Leafs, but most games are 1 or 2 goal games. It's like there's very few blowouts. So, when it's that tight, you're going to have games going to overtime, games going to a shootout. I think, honestly, the overtimes that I've seen this year have been pretty exciting. The shootouts are dreadful. I hate them, but they're a necessary evil. But yeah, I mean, that's the only explanation I have. The league is so close. You basically have, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look at the scores from last night, but I'll bet you half of them were 1-goal decisions.
Mm-hmm. The Leafs 22 points in 18 games, so over a point per game, headed towards another 100-point season. How many teams will have more than 100 points? Or how many teams will have more points than the Maple Leafs when all is said and done? Armorel on the community platform, they're still making Freddie do too much work to get points. Hope they don't burn him out when the important games start.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's my concern. It's sort of the same pattern as the last couple of years. Last year was the exception. He started well in October. But, usually he struggles in the opening month, and then November, December, he's one of the best goalies in the league, and they build up a bunch of points. And then usually he has a little bit of a slump later on in the year. And then if he plays 60 to 65 games, he's on empty when the playoffs. And that's the whole reason why it's imperative that the Leafs get Hutchinson straightened out and able to play more than just second of back-to-backs. They need him to play, I would say, 20 to 25 games at least. But I don't know whether that's going to be in the cards. Now, right now, you see the correction starting to happen in the Atlantic Division. We know that Boston's going to be around the top. Tampa Bay swept both games in Sweden against the Sabres. The Sabres have lost 6 of their last 7, and Tampa Bay is just starting to get on track after a disappointing playoff last year. So it's going to be Boston, it's going to be Tampa, it's going to be Toronto, and it's then Florida, Montreal, Buffalo fighting for positioning and a wild card spot. It's just a question now of how severe this injury to Marner is, how long it's going to be. And we saw yesterday they moved Kasperi Kapanen up to the second line on the right wing with Tavares and Trevor Moore. I would think that Jason Spezza steps in some way on that third line, probably on the wing, to replace Marner. If they call up Nick Patan or Igor Korshkov or somebody like that to replace Marner, then I think Jason Spezza should prepare his retirement papers, because if they don't use him now, I don't know when they're going to use him.
Yeah. OG's converts inside the community section. Here's the question. How do you think the Maple Leafs do without Mitch Marner? Before we go, Mike, just a quick look at the schedule ahead. Chicago on Sunday. The Leafs at the Islanders on Wednesday. That barn is going to be rabid, ready to watch John Tavares fall. But the last time he was there, he got the business done. Hopefully he can do it again. Boston at the Leafs on Friday. And then we have the Leafs at Pittsburgh on Saturday. Vegas is back in the mix. So, man, this is going to be a tough stretch. A lot of games on the road. But no matter where it is, this team has the capability of eking out wins, just doing enough to get a point. Do what they need to do to get things done. Then we'll reassess and we'll figure out where their positioning is and what they need to do to make a huge move when the time is right. Last word to you.
Yeah, imperative that they get 2 points tonight against the Chicago team that has struggled this year. Going to Long Island is going to be tough because the Islanders are one of the hottest teams in the league, and obviously their fans will be worked up still for Tavares coming back for the third time. And then they've played the Bruins twice already, and the last one was not a particularly good game for the Leafs. So that'll be a very challenging thing. So it's a schedule that's going to get tough. And like I said, 13-16 on the road, they're going to have to play a lot better to get points consistently.
Michael, enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for everything you do. Talk soon.
Thanks, Norm.